Good morning, last but not least. A couple of quick things. You guys already touched on it quite a bit. We are very thankful to be here. Sometimes we are from Elkhart, Indiana. Some people think we're from the Midwest, but everyone's kind of like Nebraska, Kansas City. We're all we think of you guys as the West, but you're here. We're in Idaho, and sometimes we think of it as California, Oregon, and that's where we first started some of our excursions, trying to figure out where we go. I was talking to Beth before the get together here about how this all started. Why did we choose Idaho? Why did we choose Boise? Why did we choose Nampa? Jeff and I have been on 4 or 5 trips before this get together, and Oregon was one of our first choices, to be perfectly honest. There's an RV sector up there. There's a lot of workforce up there, but after a couple of trips, it just didn't seem to fit. And the balance of it is, it needs to fit for us too. We want to come out here and be part of this team. Once we're here, we're all in. We are all in. So Oregon, a Western trip did not work. Did we have 2 of those trips? 2 Western trips. We had an Eastern trip to Oregon. We actually had a trip to Utah, and actually Idaho was our last one. It's funny how that sometimes works out, right? But Idaho was our last one. We did the tour kind of in around the area and then landed here. And I think once we got here, our eyes kind of lit up a little bit. You guys seem to be a lot like us, whatever that means, but you seem to fit in. Your people were generous and gracious, and that's always a good feeling when you're going somewhere. Starting a new company, it's like starting a new company when you're in Elkhart and you come out here. We're starting from scratch, it feels like, and the effort to get there, it seems very difficult and long, but it's been a quick pace. It's been, 6 months now, Jeff, since 5-6 months, and here we are in December before the holidays, getting ready to have our first job fair and start hiring here in January, or in the near future, and then February, and our goal is to be up and going by March 1. So there's a lot of mess out there. Sorry, we can't take you out through there. It's kind of a war zone, to be perfectly honest. But I do want to take a second too, and some of you are going to be here today at the job fair, and we have some people here from Harlan. We have 7 or 8 of them, but I do want you guys to know who they are, because I'm just one guy. But in the back corner is Jeff Froschauer. Jeff Froschauer is the VP of Operations, so he runs all of my operations and all of my plants in Elkhart, Indiana, and he will oversee that here too. We will both be still living in Elkhart, Indiana. Dave Wong, in the back right corner, is going to be our production manager and pretty much the master out here, I guess you would say, of this complex as we move forward. Dave is actually moving out here after Christmas, 26th, right? Yep. Dave has a wife and a son, and is coming out here to live out here permanently. Then we have our HR team kind of stuck back in the center right there. They're going to be handling the job fair. And where are we all? I'm missing somebody, aren't we?
Josh,
all of us.
Josh and Dan.
And then we have Josh, our IT. Is there anybody else I'm missing after that?
Dan from Zorn.
And Dan Stone. I can't see him actually. There he is. Dan helps us a lot with the manufacturing. We're getting more and more into lean manufacturing and efficiencies, and Dan and Jeff work together hand in hand to make sure that our plants get set up better. And it's a good time to do it when you're from the start, rather than once you have a plant up and going. So we're glad to be here. Our people are glad to be here. Thank you all for your support. I do want to lend a hand of what we're going to be doing with this building, what our plans are for the next couple of years. 280,000 square foot facility that we plan to run 2 manufacturing lines on. So I guess it'd be the back farthest corner on the left out there where we'll start our first line. Our goals are to get to about 8 or 10 a day on that line, and then we'd like to start the second line. So we'll have 2 lines in this facility, along with the lamination facility, and we're planning on building, we think we can get about 20 units a day out of this facility. The units that we're going to go out front will be the first. That's actually the units that we'll be building. It wasn't just a made-up one or thing. That is the actual unit that we'll be building. We've got another one inside here if it's a little too cold for anybody, right behind the tarp there. But we're excited about that. We do have plans to, in the local area, to buy more land. We do want to have a 3rd line. This complex just can't handle it. But over time, we do want to have another facility in and around the local area where we can take the next step. So like I said, we're all in. We spent millions, and now we need to make some money, right? And hire some people. So, but that's kind of what I wanted to say, and kind of fill you guys in on what our plans were in our future. I wanted to offer up, if you had any questions or any, while we're all sitting here, my people are here, if you guys have any questions, maybe that's not normal, but if anybody does, feel free to fire away. Yeah, go ahead.
Where will your product kind of distribute out of here? Is it all Western? Or?
Yeah, that's a good question. Pretty much all Western, and then obviously our dealers, we have dealers up into British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, up in that area. Those dealers are pumped that we're not in Indiana. And they're excited that we're somewhere to the west. They're used to, they can't get enough product from the west for the freight issues that they have to be more competitive. You know, obviously the better they buy them, when they can sell. So the freight diminishes considerably when we can build out of Idaho or anywhere in the West Coast. So pretty much California, Arizona, Utah, all those guys. I mean, once we announced it that we were coming out west, it was a plethora of phone calls because they want to be the first ones on the board. So that's a good question. That's where they're going to go first. Anybody else got any questions? Shoot.
I understand you're ground up. Do you have some suppliers that will also follow you and come to our area?
Yeah, we've got, we have obviously a lot of key suppliers out of Indiana do want to support us out here. But in and around the local area, I think the more we've kept digging, there are still probably 8 to 10 suppliers that are in and around maybe a 45-mile radius, 45-minute radius of where we're at right here. So I think there's 1 or 2 that are within a couple-hour radius. But clearly, I was hoping that, you know, as we kind of have these job fairs and you guys spread the word, that we can meet some more of the locals and what they do here and what they can supply us. I do have some cards. Jeff and I both have some cards. If you know of anybody for our purchasing department that they can contact our folks, not so much Jeff and I, but our purchasing folks, and say, hey, here we're in Nampa, here's what we got. I'd love to talk to you. Here's what we have. I do have a card, cell number, emails of a direct contact at Heartland in Indiana that we'd love for your local businesses and suppliers to reach out to. But I think that's kind of going to be a little bit of an evolution as we kind of get going. But we're way open to that. We're better off when we can do that, obviously, right? Rather than trucking it from Elkhart, Indiana, out here. Anybody else got any questions? I'm gonna throw out. Okay. Thank you all very much for coming. We're going to do a ribbon cutting out front. All those that were up here and said a few words, if you would kind of at least make sure you get in the first picture maybe before you split. We appreciate all you guys have done for us very much. Thank you.